What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, we got to talk about a new way that EA is, I guess, planning to destroy itself. Now, it's been a weird week. Like, we've had the Xbox stuff, but honestly, kind of quietly, EA has just been saying the funniest of things, one of which talking about AI and what an appetite that the developers of EA have for it. I don't believe that. I think we've talked about AI in the past, like, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. I do think it can actually help games and speed things up. We've actually even seen it, say, with Final Fantasy, right, where it does, like, the lip syncing. It knows how to move the lips, and that was kind of a system that they had built themselves and then kind of just, like, taught it how to do stuff. So I don't think AI is, like, the absolute worst, especially when you kind of can control it, when you can kind of figure it out. But done wrong, you could fire half the team. You could rely on AI to do everything for you, and probably, most likely, you're going to end up with a pretty terrible game. And I imagine that if EA tries it and is going to go as hard as they kind of say they're going to go, not going to be all that great. But we're actually here to talk about the second story that I just saw today. AI, it's a little bit more unpredictable. Like I just said, it could actually go a couple different ways. You don't know for sure that it might actually work. But for this, I can't imagine that it works. In fact, this has already started with EA, and every time that anybody has ever caught them, it's just looked terrible. Now, does it affect anything? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe people are still buying these games at the same rate that they were, but what we're here to talk about is in-game ads, our favorite thing on the planet, right? Specifically, putting ads, and they say they're gonna do this. In fact, they say they are looking at companies or working with companies to look inside EA and to determine how to best do this, basically, so they don't make anybody mad. That's what they said. They were flat out asked, hey, what do you feel about, like, ads in your big games? Like, is that something that we're going to be doing? And the answer is yes, but probably slowly and probably carefully. But let me stop you there, EA. There's no good way of doing this. There's only all bad ways. There's not a single way to put in ads in a AAA game that don't look bad. Now, again, does it happen? It kind of already has started, and it's not just with EA. I mean, sometimes you'll get the games where, like, it's advertising the next game or, like, a future season. I almost feel like that was kind of the start, right? Like, if it's one game and the sequel has come out, maybe the first game kind of promotes or kind of redirects you towards the second game. Is that the worst thing of all time? No, but honestly, that's kind of how we started, right? Something where it's intruding upon the game that you're playing to make you look elsewhere. I mean, that's literally what we're talking about here, right? When you buy a video game, you're in that video game. The worst thing that you can do, even if it's for another video game in the same company, is to redirect them towards something else. Anything. It could be Burger King. It could be the next game in the franchise. It doesn't matter. You leave it alone. They're there to experience that game. There's other ways to market. There's other ways to get eyes on other products. That's my stance, like, period. There's nothing else really to it. So, okay, now that was the beginning of it. Well, what have we kind of seen recently? Wasn't it not NBA that did ads as you were, like, getting into matches? Like, I swear to God, we've already seen something like this with EA, and specifically our great friends at EA Sports. They already try these things, and I'm actually starting to think that EA Sports is just some sort of scheme that tries out other predatory or whatever kind of practices, and they kind of funnel it out to the rest of EA, and maybe even the rest of the gaming industry. That's another thing you have to think about. This is EA saying it, and I'm sure that they're going to actually do it. But the thing is, you got to imagine the other companies are looking at it, right? They're saying, oh, if this works, if they don't really get called out, we're going to do the same thing. These companies are all, we've talked about it before, for better or worse, they're kind of followers. You need a couple leaders and a couple, like, innovators, but most of them just follow trends, or they want to follow trends, and maybe they stumble on something new, but most of the time it's just about kind of catching that thing, right? So it's a scary thing, not just for EA, but this is also how this starts. If you want to just ignore the stuff where we've come from, which is a bad idea, but if you want to ignore that stuff, fine. But if this is the start, it's just going to continue from here. I saw actually a pretty funny tweet where it was something stitched, like it was Star Wars Jedi Survivor, I think, and you were about to do a boss fight, and then it jumps to an ad of, like, Burger King. That's why Burger King was actually on my mind. It's hilarious. It's very, very funny, but at the same time, and okay, would they actually do something like that? Would you walk up to a boss fight in the third Jedi game, and then all of a sudden it redirects you to a thing for freaking McDonald's? I mean, I highly doubt it. I guess it's possible, but I don't think they would do that. Instead, main menu stuff, right? Loading screen stuff. It's just, I mean, I gotta circle back to that main point. Please, like, don't do this, because once you start, it's only going to get worse from there. I guess unless you call it out and then maybe they completely pull back. And sometimes that needs to happen, right? Sometimes companies need to mess up so badly that people really flip out and that you enact real change. Sometimes that needs to happen. Do I want games sacrificed for that? For this specific example, no, because I just think it's such a bad idea. And I even tweeted, like, I don't think you could come up with a worse idea besides, like, canceling certain projects or whatever, right? I mean, if you said, hey, tomorrow we're going to make Titanfall 3, and the next day you said we're canceling it, that would maybe be the worst decision EA could ever make. But if you're legitimately thinking about how to hurt yourselves the most, while maybe thinking that you're doing something positive, this is what it is. I can understand how you can think this is a moneymaker because, marketing opportunities, ads, you can take money for these ads and put them in your games. You can redirect them to other games within your own company, maybe boost your money that way. But as I said, like, when you buy a freaking video game, you're in it for that game. I'm about to play tonight, hopefully, Infamous 1 on the PS3. When I boot up Infamous, the last thing I want to see, honestly, is anything else. Anything. When you boot up and you have the disc, or nowadays, you have the digital, when you boot up a game and it's Titanfall 2, it's the next Battlefield, why in God's name should I get redirected to even another game? And let alone, like, if it's a product, oh, God help them, right? If it's some sort of, like, other thing, like they are just taking Burger King ads all of a sudden, that would be that would be hilarious, actually. But even if it's for another game, I don't care if it's another game. You're in one game. You're in that world. You're in that game. There's no time. Why should I need to focus on a different thing? Oh, my God. I mean, I can't believe it. So, and I really mean, like, even in the beginning, it's actually funny. Like, Xbox is doing all these things this week. A lot of eyes are on them. I'm not saying no eyes are on EA, but we've had such a big thing happen this week where everybody's talking, which, I mean, I made like 3 videos on it, so I guess I'm guilty of it. Everybody's talking about Xbox. And quietly in the background, EA is talking about, number one, that everybody wants to use AI now. And then number 2, they're going to put ads into our games. It's like, oh my God, what they're doing this. They're just saying this out loud? Yeah, they are. They don't even feel shame about it. So I don't know. I cannot imagine it's a good idea. But like I said, you maybe have to do it. Like, EA had to do the thing where they said that single-player games are dead, nobody cares about them, to look so foolish to then get to the point that we're actually at. Like, Dragon Age, maybe not. Like, the game might not be amazing. We don't really know, right? But in a way, it was saved because it was going to be like a live service multiplayer thing. Who knows if we would have even gotten Mass Effect, especially bringing back a lot of veterans that made the original trilogy, right? Something like that. The Jedi games have happened in the era where they said single-player games are dead. It Takes Two, A Way Out, right? Joseph Fares' studio and all the games they've made. Would they do that stuff? So, I think they had to say that almost, right? So you can understand just how bad it is. They could understand how bad it is and then pivot. I don't think you need to sacrifice certain games or sacrifice years of your company to bad decisions, but I really can't imagine ads working out. Like, I just don't see a way that works. Even if people haven't called it out that badly now, you're dealing with sports fans, and sports fans are an absolute weird bunch, not to be disrespectful, but you're already dealing with people that deal with the ultimate teams and are already, like, fed, hey, let's just release the same game over and over with little to no improvements, or sometimes the games get actually worse, right? You're already dealing with that, and now you're getting ads. So maybe that's just too much to handle. But you put this ad in anything else EA, you think Battlefield fans are going to tolerate, truly, like, Battlefield fans can be unhinged, and actually in a respectful way, they can be very vocal, and that's a good thing, right? So you think Battlefield fans going into this next Battlefield, when already there's so much uncertainty if they can rebound from 2042, you're going to load into a match, and then you're going to get an ad before you play that match. You think they're going to tolerate that? I can't imagine they do it. And I would imagine that would be the worst mistake they could make. And maybe they have to in order to, like, truly learn the lesson. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.